this. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about all kinds of stuff lately. I'm kind of going to go into a whole different area for the next few weeks till school's out, I guess, probably. I was praying this weekend, kind of just asking the Lord what he wanted me to talk about, since it's, I could talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I could find something to talk about with you guys, because I could probably even pull a book out and use old sermons or whatever stuff that I've preached a million times, but I didn't want to do that. And I've been reading a book, and it's called Worship on Earth as It Is in Heaven. If you guys want to check that out, there it is. That's the book. It's a really awesome book. For those of you guys, I mean, most of you guys know me pretty well. I've been playing on a worship team forever, since I was 12. I love worship. I miss it a lot. We kind of talked about that a little bit the last couple of weeks. I miss being able to play my instrument for the Lord. It's pretty cool. And something that's just always been prevalent in my life is worship, which I think it should be in all of our lives. So, but today, so I've been reading this book, and it's given me some really cool stuff to talk about with you guys. So we're just going to delve right in. Today I want to talk about, because of what we're going through right now, is worship amidst adversity. So adversity is all around us right now. I mean, there's people dealing with jobs and money and all kinds of loss, and but we have a really great example in the Word, and his name was David. And he's like the prime example of worshiping during adversity. I mean, there's so many of his Psalms were written while he was getting chased, or somebody was trying to kill him, or, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this man's life. And yet, during those times, he wrote some of our best Psalms ever. So some of them are, if you read the Psalms and you read them for what they are, and a guy writing them to the Lord, some of them are sad, and some of them are full of despair, and then there's some of them that are very praiseful and very thankful. But all of them are worship. So every single one of them, regardless of what he was feeling at the time, all of them are worship. And he was taking the time out of whatever the heck was going on in his life, which was some really rough stuff. And we'll go into some of that here in a little bit. But he took his time to write down and worship the Lord. So this is pretty hard to do, even for us nowadays, for us to take that time out and to worship the Lord. There's a pretty famous song of I'll Praise You in This Storm. I'm sure you guys have heard it. And that's exactly what David did. And I like to call David the worshiper, because that's who he is to me. He was a great king, obviously, too, but his first and foremost thing, and I think the reason why he was a man after God's own heart, was because he worshiped. He worshiped no matter what. No matter what was going on in his life, he worshiped. And I think that, especially nowadays when we're going through the stuff that we're going through, this is probably one of the most important things that we can learn how to do. And David's a really great teacher. So we're going to go into that. Again, most of the Psalms, if you guys have got your Bibles, I want you to go to John 16:33. And first, we're going to hear about, Jesus says something very much to this point about worship. So who's got it? Talk to me. Nat, you got it?
Yes.
Unmute. Read it to me, darling.
Just 33?
Yeah, just 33.
Okay. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world.
Right on. So we're going to have tribulation. We're going to have trials. David was having all of that stuff. But I mean, even Jesus says, take heart, trust in me, think about me, rely on me. So if we stop and we think about that's what David did. David stopped where he was at. If he was in a cave hiding somewhere or whatever was going on, he stopped and he put his thoughts and his mind on the Lord. And so, like, again, sometimes that's really hard. I mean, if you think about the stuff that he was going through, how could you stop and go, okay, God, I'm going to stop and I'm going to praise you, when all you can think about is some guy's going to come around the corner and kill me? You know, and right now we've got a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. And all of this stuff brings on all kinds of emotions that keep us in our carnal, this crude matter, as Yoda says. It keeps us in here and not focused on the Lord. We've got, I mean, it makes it difficult to even think about anything but what your situation is, right? I mean, think about these emotions. I jotted down a few. Right now, we can be down and discouraged. We could be anxious and afraid. We could be frustrated and disappointed. I mean, think about frustration and disappointment. Think about all the seniors who are not getting to go to graduation. You know, I'd be pretty frustrated and disappointed. I mean, this is one of the major milestones of my life, and I don't get to go. Right. You know, those are just a little bit of them. I mean, and then, I mean, a lot of these progress, you know, and then you end up being devastated, and then you end up being depressed, and we can get stuck in those things. And again, all the stuff going on, all of these emotions make it difficult for us to focus on Jesus, because we're worried about our situation. You know, we're worried about making sure that our bills are paid. I know you guys don't have to worry about that as much, but us parents do. You know, I have to make sure that you guys are all fed. You know, I've got a whole bunch of extra people in my house right now that I don't usually have to feed on a daily basis. And now I do, you know. So my grocery bill's gone up, but my income hasn't, you know. So those are things that, you know, they basically, all of those emotions, what they do is they steal time away from God. They steal time away from your family, even, because you're too focused on that emotion. And then what ends up happening when you go through all of these different ones that I wrote down, the final couple that I wrote down, is you end up being weary and depleted. And when we're weary and depleted, we've got no energy. We don't want to do anything. And the last thing on our minds is worshiping God. That's the last thing on our minds. Like, because you know what? I don't know about you guys, but when I worship, it takes energy. It takes effort. It takes time. And if I don't take that time, or if I'm so tired and my brain is fried, it's hard for me to take time and go, okay, Lord, you know what? I'm gonna focus on you. This worship can be done in a whole bunch of different ways, you guys. David, he did it by writing songs. I also write songs. I also, you know, love music, so that comes in my form. But I believe that each individual is different, and I think that we all have a different way that we can take that time out and worship him. We're going to read Psalm 63, so if you guys want to go to Psalm 63, we're going to read a couple of Psalms today. Surprise, surprise. I want to give you a little backdrop, though, to Psalm 63. And again, it doesn't say this in the Bible, but I know it from research and stuff from being in school. So Psalm 63 was written while David was fleeing from a coup by his own son, Absalom. So Absalom he had left the country for a few years because of some stuff that he did, and he took off, and then he came back, and then he got a whole bunch of people on his side, and raised up a coup against his father because he didn't like the way his father was treating him. When Absalom came back from his 3-year vacation, his dad David didn't even talk to him. He ignored him. Like he was pissed off. Let's just be honest. He was mad at him. He didn't want to have nothing to do with him. So some of David's actions actually caused what was going on with his son. He was ignoring him. He wasn't giving him any time. He wasn't paying attention to him. And then this coup rose up and David had to bounce. So anyway, that's when this was written. So let's do it. Like, how many are in this? There's 11 in this. So somebody take 1 through 3.
I'll get 1 through 3.
Okay, somebody take 4, 5, and 6.
I'll do those.
Then 7, 8, 9.
I'll take those.
Oh, and then we just got 10 and 11. Sorry. There you go. Somebody take 10 and 11. Anyone? Bueller? Mason? Okay, go ahead. Whoever's starting with 1.
All right. Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you. As in a dry and weary land, there is no water. So I have looked upon you into the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you.
So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night, for you, oh wait, that's not what I'm reading.
Because you are my helper, I sing. Because you are my helper, I sing for joy in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your strong right hand holds me securely. For those plotting to destroy me will come to ruin. They will go down into the depths of the earth.
They will be given over to the sword and become food for jackals. But the king will rejoice in God, and all who swear by God's name will praise him, while the mouths of liars will be silenced.
Right on. So I don't know if you guys have ever read this psalm before, but it's one of my favorites. And if you pay attention, there's a lot of lines in here that have been used in a lot of worship songs. So you might notice them there. So I mean, this is a very praise-filled psalm. And again, that's why I set it up with the backdrop of where he was when this happened. This is what's going on, and then he just lifts up praise. What's really cool about this, though, is in the times of temptation and weakness, we realize how much we need God. And we can choose to take that and worship him, or we can also go, I need you, Lord, you need to help me. Right? So our first inclining is, how can you help me, Lord? How can you help me? That's because we're carnal human beings, right? So the first thoughts that we have when we think about God, we need you, Lord. I need you to help me. That's the first thing that you think of. Well, David needed the Lord, and yes, he needed his help, but instead of going, please help me, he praised him for how awesome he was, regardless of the situation that he was in. During his toughest times, he wrote a song to sing to the Father, and he worshiped him. That's what he did. And he's sitting in a cave, he's running away from people trying to kill him. And he chose to lift up praise. So true worship takes sacrifice on our part, you guys. It takes sacrifice on our part. We have to consciously make it a priority. We have to make it a priority above the carnal things and feelings of the discouragement, of anxiousness, of depression, of being weary, of being depleted. We have to consciously make a decision to go put those things aside and praise him. And I think this is especially true of what we're going through right now, because so many things are trying to take our focus. And that is exactly where the enemy wants us. He wants our focus on the news and on COVID-19 and on our money and on our bills and all of that. That's where the enemy wants our focus. He doesn't want our focus on the Lord. He does not want us to worship. He wants us to think about this stuff, our crude matter. That's what he wants us to think about. Let's go to Psalm 54. Flipping. So this is a pretty small one. I'm just going to go ahead and read it, okay? Save me, O God, by your name. Vindicate me by your might. Hear my prayer, O God. Listen to my words of my mouth. Strangers are attacking me, ruthless men seeking my life, men without regard for God. I like how it says Selah right there at the end. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but it's like an exclamation. Surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. Let evil recoil on those who slander me. In your faithfulness, destroy them. I will sacrifice a free will offering to you. I love that line. I will sacrifice a free will offering to you. Nobody's making him do anything. I will praise your name, O Lord, for it is good. For he has delivered me from all my troubles, and my eyes have looked in triumph on my foes. I love that. Another one that's really awesome. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. But what's really cool is a lot of us don't really know how to truly worship. And I think David in this psalm, in Psalm 54, really gives us 3 clues to move us in the right direction of how to do it. I know it's pretty funny that it comes from such a simple, short one, but everything that you need to know is right there. So number 1, he talks to God. Number 1, he talks to God. Number 2, he talks to himself about God. And number 3, he then chooses to worship and he offers a sacrifice of praise. All 3 of those things are right there in that tiny little 7-verse psalm. So those are all little clues of how we need to roll. This is a perfect example. We need to talk to him. We need to talk to ourselves about him. Because I don't know about you, but I talk to myself. And I do. My kids rag me about it all the time. But anyway, but I talk to myself. But I talk to myself about the Lord too. I walk around and I talk to God. You know, so that's what I do. I know I probably sound like a weirdo, but it is what it is. I like to converse with my Lord. And then the next step, though, after you do those things, is you choose free will offering. Nobody's making you do it. You have to choose. We could take you to Sunday and make you worship, make you listen to worship, make you sing. Well, you can't really make anybody sing, but it's sure impressed that you should, right? You know, people look at you funny in church if you're going, you know, and you're not really worshiping. So, but the Lord wants a free will offering, a free will sacrifice. Sacrifice is what true worship is based on. We talked about Jesus being the ultimate sacrifice. Remember, we talked about that the past couple of weeks over Easter. Well, our sacrifice is taking time away from all these ugly emotions that whatever has got us in. It could be the world and the stuff that's going on right now, or it could be other stuff that's going on in your life. All of those things try to take you away from the Lord. And the last thing in the world the enemy wants you to do is worship God. So that to me makes it probably the most important sacrifice that we can do, is to take that time to worship him, to offer up our sacrifice of our day, of our time to him. I know that some things, and it's pretty easy, you guys, to point out sacrifices in your life, right? Something that you would have to sacrifice in order to take time out for the Lord, or money for the Lord. I mean, think about that. Not a lot of people like to tithe. You know, that's a sacrifice. But a true taking time, I mean, like you guys know how much money I spent on lightsabers. I could have spent that on something else, like tithe. I could have donated that to one of my fellow FCAers and said, hey, here's a couple $100 that I was just going to blow on a lightsaber because you might need it. I have one of our FCA friends, Alex Sween, she posted something on Facebook saying, I lost half my donors. That really hit home for me, because obviously we all work for FCA, so we rely on donors. Wow. So that's pretty hardcore. And that, again, all of those things can suck us into thinking about just that, not the Lord, and they deter us from doing what the Lord wants us to do. When we offer these sacrifices and we worship him, this is how we are cleansed. So I know it sounds weird, right? It sounds weird that I'm lifting up praise and offering a sacrifice to the Lord that's for him, not for me, but it's for him. But I'm the one who reaps the benefits, right? Not that he doesn't. Obviously, he gets the glory and the honor and all of that. But he in return blesses us and cleanses us. And that's how we're transformed. That's how we're transformed on a daily basis, through our sacrificial worship. We can't do it any other way. Sorry, my little thing's clicking up on my screen. 10 minutes. Oh. Anyway, so I have a question for you guys today, and then since we got 10 minutes, I actually timed this pretty good today, which is good. So my question, and let's do some discussion, and that requires participation, people. You have to actually speak.
Yay.
What are you sacrificing to worship God? Go. Don't all pipe in at once.
Like, what can we do, or what are we doing?
What can you, or what are you doing right now?
Or can probably just give up a little bit more of my time, like in dedication to doing it.
Totally.
Yeah, really, I think since it's, we're all on quote unquote break, it's really just a time-based thing. So we'd have to be giving up time, or I'd have to be giving up time, because that's all that I have.
Totally. I think that we all have a ton of time right now, right? I mean, even though you got homework and all that stuff, it's funny how you have a lot of time, extra time right now, but how much of that extra time are you spending with the Lord? I mean, I just told you that I binge watched Battlestar Galactica for 5 days. You know what I mean? So how many times did I take out to pick up my Bible? I can count it on one hand. That's the truth. Just being honest. I can count it on one hand. But again, it's funny, because that's why I really love that we're still doing these meetings, because I started reading this book like before we were on break. And I put it down. And I was, again, I was sitting praying, and I'm going, what are we going to talk about for the next few weeks, Lord? And I went over to my bookcase, and this thing popped right out at me. And it was like, okay, all right, Lord, I got you. Like I'm listening. So I started reading it, and I just like, man. And it was funny because I didn't even start where I left off. I just actually flipped it open and came to this section, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, that's totally what we need to talk about. Because again, all this stuff that I share with you guys, it's not just for you, it's for me. God doesn't give people that share the word any message that is not for them. I'm sorry. It's for us too. It's not for us to preach at you. It's for us to hear it as well. And then we get to share it and share our own experiences. So again, I have to take the extra time I have and spend it worshiping. I haven't been doing a good job of that. I've been focused on a lot of other things. So
Ken,
yeah.
so something else we can all do. I mean, I don't know if everyone here is an athlete, but I think most of us are. Our athletics, whether we play football or run or play tennis or whatever, God has given us those gifts and desires for his glory. And so every time we go out for a run, or every time we go play football or baseball or whatever, thank him for the ability and ask him to use you to give this run is for you, God. This sweat is my sacrifice. So I mean, that's worship too.
Yes. You're totally right, Holly. And thank you for bringing that up, because it is. We've talked about this in some of our huddles this year.
Yeah.
That is your sport is your worship.
Yeah.
It's your worship. You lift that up in your performance to him. So
right.
you may not be a musician, but you have a instrument right here
Mm-hmm.
that is offering glory and honor to God. So I love that. Thank you so much, Holly. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I mean, we can do that on a daily basis. I know for a fact that Holly does it when she goes and does her runs, but I bet you Holly doesn't do it every time,
No, I didn't do it this morning.
Exactly. See, so we're not perfect.
No.
Right? We're going to forget. We're going to forget that I need to do this unto the Lord, So I just wanted to encourage you guys to take that time. We got a lot of extra. I mean, how much more deeper can you build your relationship with Christ during this time? How much more can you worship him in everything that you do? Your schoolwork, you got to do schoolwork still. You lift that up as praise.
Right.
Lift it up as praise. Father, I don't want to do this right now, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it as worship unto you. So I'm going to do my best. And that may not mean you get A's. It might, it doesn't matter. It matters that you did your best. We're not all perfect straight A students, but if we offer it up as sacrifice and worship to him, then it's good. Because it's holy and pleasing to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters. You guys have any more thoughts? We got a couple more minutes. I could talk all day.
I do talk all day.
I know, I talk a lot. That's kind of why I do this. Thomas, you guys got anything? You're always quiet over there at Tomaland.
I don't really have anything to add other than I'm guilty of not spending my time super well. There's a lot of things that I probably should be doing that I'm not doing right now. And I don't know, I think we are all in that same boat.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Well, I also I just want to point this out real quick. Don't take this message as condemnation at all, you guys.
No, it's just a reminder though that,
constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism.
But just a reminder, maybe I do a little bit like I make my bed every day. Not my favorite thing to do, but I take 5 minutes and do that. And I guess I forget that those can be acts of worship too, as well as actually sitting down and digging in and
Yeah.
spending time in the Word. So
Yeah, that's why I love bringing up the David stuff. And again, when I was reading this last night, I was just going, yeah, I mean, he praised him in everything.
Yeah.
Everything that he did, everything, no matter the circumstances, and it's hard to think about making your bed as worship, right? It's hard to think that is, or going on your run, or whatever. It's hard to think of that as worship, but if it is dedicated to him, it's worship.
there you go, kids. Brush your teeth unto the Lord.
Yes.
Shower unto the Lord.
Exactly.
Get out of bed.
Especially for all you stinky football players. Yeah, Cody.
Long football. No.
Stinky nonetheless.
Oh,
Jenna touched on that
You
the
could
other day
literally
in
bring
our
up wrestler.
What was that, Holly?
I said Jenna touched on that the other day in our staff meeting. She was talking about having a thankful attitude. And so, especially with things like your schoolwork or cleaning the house, it's easy to just complain about it and be like, oh, I have to do this. But if we realize, how blessed are we that that you get to go to school? I think that's a great lesson, right, that we're learning right now, right? And how blessed am I that I have a house to clean and that I have kids to clean up after. And if we just turn that around and we're thankful for that, it changes your heart and makes you thankful, and that's worship to God.
Yeah. Okay, we got 1 minute left. I'm going to pray. Father, I just thank you so much for this time. Father, just make sure we focus on you this week in our free time, Lord, and offer all of these things that we do up to you as worship. Just be in the forefront of our minds, Lord, in everything that we do. And, if we need reminders, give us a smack on the back of the head. Remind us, Lord, because we do want to be focusing and worshiping